This video is not sponsored. None of the companies or products mentioned have provided any compensation to me. All opinions are my own. On a recent trip to Kyushu, Japan, we had the opportunity to rent cars for 2 different road trips. In both instances we rented from Alamo, whom we found out is represented in Japan by Nippon Rent-A-Car. We didn't know this at the time, which caused us some wasted time. In both instances, we determined we had rented from the Nippon location at the Fukuoka Airport International Terminal. Nippon Rent-A-Car has 2 airport locations, one across the road from the domestic terminal that you can walk to and one at the international terminal. For the location at the international terminal, you have to find the unmanned rental desk in the airport. When we traveled, this was located on the ground floor. However, Fukuoka Airport is undergoing a lot of construction and this may change. When you find the desk, you need to call the Nippon office. They will tell you where to stand. For us it was outside on the 2nd story next to the police station. Nippon will send a shuttle van to pick you up. The actual rental office is located a short drive from the airport. Don't go to the wrong location. They won't be able to help you and you will have to take the airport shuttle bus to the correct terminal. I speak from experience. Once at the Nippon Rent-A-Car location, the rental process went smoothly. It took a bit longer than I have experienced in the US and Canada, but not as long as some countries I have rented cars in. One option I opted for is an ETC card. If you are going to do highway driving in Japan, I highly recommend you get an ETC card with your rental vehicle. The ETC card allows you to drive through the express toll lanes at toll booths and not have to fumble for money. You pay for the tolls you incur when you return the car to the rental office. I had booked the smallest class of cars. We were a group of 3 adults, but we all were traveling light and I correctly assumed that this class of car would be adequate. I wanted a small car because some Japanese roads can be very narrow. I also wanted an automatic as I didn't want to be shifting a manual stick with my left hand. The car we received was a Suzuki Wagon R. The Wagon R is a K or K-Jidosha. K cars are a small car classification in Japan that receive special benefits such as reduced taxes. K cars also receive yellow license plates. Since 1998, regulations specify that a K car must be under 3.4 meters in length, 1.48 meters in width, and 2.0 meters in height. The engine displacement must be under 660 cubic centimeters. An industry and government agreement limits the maximum power to 63 horsepower or 47 kilowatts. The 6th generation Suzuki Wagon R I drove is within these dimensions. It is not as tall as the allowable 2-meter height and therefore not as boxy as some K cars such as the Honda N-Box. It is still, however, a somewhat boxy shape. The wheels and the mechanics are pushed to the edges of the vehicle, allowing for maximum utilization of space inside. The model I received was a mild hybrid. The 3-cylinder engine is combined with an electric motor/generator and a lithium-ion battery. The system provides regenerative braking and power assist to the internal combustion engine and can also run certain electrical equipment. The transmission is an automatic continuously variable transmission or CVT. I found the Wagon R to be adequately powered. Although I could never describe it as peppy, the gasoline engine assisted by the electric motor did an adequate job. We even took a couple trips up to the hills and mountains around Itoshima with no problem. The CTV was smooth and again handled fine in the city and up in the mountains. I also did some highway driving and had no issue merging with traffic or overtaking other vehicles. Like all K cars, the Wagon R is narrower than regular cars and easier to drive on Japan's sometimes narrow streets. With its small dimensions, it is easy to park and has a large rear-view camera display when backing up that plays on the infotainment center. Japan's parking spaces are often narrower than North America's, but I never had a problem fitting in any parking spot with the Wagon R. For such small exterior dimensions, the Wagon R is roomy inside. It easily fit our party of 3 adults and our luggage. Although we did have to fold down one of the rear seats to accommodate all of our luggage. The seats were cloth with the front seat being a 60/40 bench, which I don't think I've seen on a car since my dad's cars in the 70s. The seat and the driving position were comfortable and I had no issue with long drives. Because of the high headroom, the seating is raised from the floor and reminded me of when I drove a minivan. This allows for a more natural leg position, which is great for longer road trips. The rear seat had generous leg room for our adult male passenger. He also said it was very comfortable. The ride was slightly harsh, possibly because of the very small tires and possibly because the suspension doesn't have a lot of travel room due to the low ground clearance. The interior of the car looked and felt nice. While not luxurious, it didn't feel cheap. The instrument cluster was easy to read and understand while driving. My biggest complaint was with the infotainment system. It was fiddly and we could not get it to work properly. It would not connect to Bluetooth, and even though we set it to English, it kept defaulting to Japanese. We ended up not using it and using Google Maps on my iPhone for navigation. The other complaint is not with the car itself, but the dashcam the rental company had installed and also how they dealt with the situation. One day the memory card on the dashcam failed. The device kept repeating without pause, in Japanese, that the memory chip had failed and the system needed to restart. I could not get it to stop. It was incredibly annoying. I tried contacting the airport Nippon location and they did not pick up. There is a number to call for maintenance issue if the rental office is closed. The maintenance office said the dashcam voice issue is not a mechanical issue and not their problem. Thankfully, I was able to ask a Japanese-speaking person in our group to phone Nippon. The solution was I had to drive from Itoshima to Fukuoka to another Nippon location and they quickly replaced the dashcam chip. I was not given any compensation for either having to take time away from my vacation to get this resolved or for the road tolls I incurred on the drive to Fukuoka and back. Returning the rental car was quick and easy. We were flying domestically and asked if the Nippon shuttle van could take us to the domestic terminal instead of the international one. But no. They would only take us to the international terminal and from there we took the shuttle bus to the domestic terminal. Overall, I found the Suzuki Wagon R a great car to rent. I would not hesitate to rent this model in future. The external size and internal dimensions make it perfect for driving in Japan. While not powerful in any stretch of the imagination, it was perfectly adequate for all the driving conditions I experienced in Kyushu. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking or subscribing. I'll be posting more travel videos soon. Also, take a look at some of my other videos.